we just got some big new mod releases for Fallout 4, including one mod that I think is perhaps one of the most highly requested pieces of cut content to get added to Fallout 4, and after over 6 years of waiting, somebody has actually added it into the game. In addition, we've actually gotten mods and some pretty big updates from both Fallout Miami and the Fallout 3 remake mod. These massive scale projects just kind of giving us a steady flow of content, and really it's a great time to be modding Fallout 4. There's a ridiculous amount of high quality content out there, and even in this video I'm going to specifically show you a few hidden gems or things that I just think deserve a lot more attention. Although with Fallout 4 things can get pretty lonely. Sure, you can act as a one-man army jumping into combat, but maybe you're looking for a more proper all-out battle. Well, don't worry, because I'm going to help you with that thanks to today's video sponsor with World of Tanks. So this game, at least for me, is a little bit too much fun. Every time I start playing it, I get a little too dragged in, and a quick hour session rapidly turns into several hours. It's honestly pretty simple. You have 600 different tanks to choose from that you take into epic 30 tank battles. Like, that's just cool. And you get a lot of options here. You could be the annoying quick tank that speeds off and normally dies rather fast under the guise of flanking, the sniper tank who sits in the back and takes down enemies from afar, which is actually pretty handy if you can be patient. But if you're like me and can't be patient, you also do have the more traditional heavy and medium tanks to roll in on the front lines. And in this game, teammates actually matter. Some of the best moments are getting caught up with a couple of your teammates at a corner, and then thanks to your superior coordination or an actual successful flank, with your tanks driving around that corner looking at their charred corpses. Then the best part is it is completely free. But it actually gets even better. Do you like this tank? Do you think she's cute? Well, you can use my link in the video description or the code TANKMANIA and get the Excelsior Tier 5 tank 250,000 credits and 7 days of premium access. And they'll even throw in 3 free rental tanks that you get to use for 10 battles each, so you get a preview of what superior firepower actually looks like. These benefits will pop up in game after completing the tutorial for new players who register for the first time. Thanks again to World of Tanks for sponsoring this video. But looking back at Fallout 4, we first have to take a look at 20 Leagues Under the Sea, aka the addition of Vault 120 into Fallout 4. If you're not familiar, in the original plan with Fallout 4, there was an idea to actually add in an underwater vault, which makes a lot of sense because if you look at Fallout 4's world space, there is a massive water section that you basically never use. The quest around this vault was going to be 20 Leagues Under the Sea, and the vault itself was going to be Vault 120. Well, now, thanks to this new mod author, which makes this all the more impressive, you actually can visit Vault 120 and in fact take it on as your own settlement. At its core, it is a relatively simple mod. Now by Nordhagen Beach, you'll be able to find Vault 120 itself. It'll have this nice little elevator shaft to go down into it, and from there you're going to have a destroyed, ghoul-occupied massive vault to explore and again call your own, as there are 2 separate settlements you can claim here. And you can find all kinds of interesting things throughout. Some of the visuals being pretty much unparalleled in Fallout 4 because as this was intended, you're not only in a vault, but you could also see some city outside of the vault, with the visuals just being stunning here, actually being able to look out into the open sea and see some of those other structures. This also does have some pretty cool features, like actually giving you the ability to enter into that sea world space. You'll find hatches in this where you will be able to just kind of swim out beyond. You can create an extensive settlement here. I actually think this could be a super cool place to take advantage of with sim settlements, especially with those internal plots, as there are all kinds of different rooms and infrastructure. This is laid out like it is a truly abandoned vault, and you'll find many of the familiar facilities that are in other vaults. But in general, I feel like just for a lot of Fallout 4 players, we have so long talked about, heard about this quest and this location. It's so nice that somebody is actually adding in this content now. It was easily one of the most famous pieces of cut content that we never actually got, even from modders, which is pretty rare. And it would be cool in the future to see some modders attempt to actually turn this into something larger by adding in some questing functionality or perhaps some kind of story and this vault being functional. But one of the other things that gets me really excited with Fallout 4 modding is the continuation of these large-scale DLC-sized mods actually releasing content for us as they progress on their mods' progress. And what we're taking a look at today is the first episode of Miami Misadventures. Fallout Miami, as the name suggests, is going to add in post-apocalyptic Miami Beach as a DLC-sized mod experience in Fallout 4. And one of the things that is unique about this one is it is a proper DLC. It's meant to be an extension of Fallout 4. You are still the same character going somewhere else. But of course, that other place is going to have its own factions, quests, items, and more. So Miami Misadventures, and specifically Miami Misadventures Episode 1, will implement several of these new items in an interconnected quest into Fallout 4's Commonwealth. This is pretty fun. I like how they did this. Basically, there's a caravan passing through the Commonwealth, this caravan seemingly being from Miami, and the caravan was ambushed with the items being stolen. You're going to have this minor puzzle-based quest where you're going to have to track down these thieves, and you will, along the way, be able to reclaim the thieves' items as well as the items stolen from the caravan. And the way this is laid out is you're going to have images and notes, and you'll kind of have to go off of them and hopefully find where things went. It's not particularly difficult, but it does make you think a little bit. I personally found it to be pretty fun. So naturally, all of these new items are things that are going to appear in Fallout Miami and are completely new to Fallout 4. It'll have some armors, 4 totally new masks from Fallout Miami that'll be a part of the Dreamers faction, which are a tribe of chem-addicted people in Miami that get up into their own certain set of things that I don't want to get too explicit on because demonetization is still a thing. The masks overall are pretty awesome and can be paired quite well with the 2 new custom Letterman jacket outfits that are added in with this mod that do have nice decals and logos on them. And I would say these masks overall do fit quite well into Fallout 4. It does feel like one of those kind of dirtier or darker faction armors that would pop up in a Fallout world. But what I think is on the cooler side are some of the weapons. There's a golf club, which is very fitting for Miami, but a lot cooler is the compact SMG, aka an Uzi. This has a variety of attachments and most of the familiar or things you would expect on this, but also a bunch of skins you can apply to it. You'll get a fully custom version by actually completing the quest. And it looks awesome. It has all kinds of writing and marks on this being representative of what you'll find in Fallout Miami. Some of the skins actually being specific to Fallout Miami's factions, but then a bunch of other skins specific to the Fallout 4 Commonwealth factions. Although the weapon is fun and cool to use, the animations really take it over the top for me. Perhaps this is not going to make sense to anybody else, but to me, it kind of feels like these animations fit the Miami theming. Like you could picture a Miami gangster of sorts reloading the Uzi with this animation style. It's kind of over the top, quickly and confidently done, but with flair added to it, and I really like that. They're just fun animations in general, but again, to me, it does feel very Miami. And it even includes this little crocodile statue, which is just a fun little extra. Outside of this, Fallout Miami has actually posted some other updates and showcases on their Discord. This is a standalone and first episodic release of Miami Misadventures, but progress is continuing on the mod in general. We get a look at the Slaver armor that will surely be a memorable one from our time in Miami, as well as some concept art of this in action, as Slavers will be a major component of this story and experience in the Miami Wastes. And we also get an outfit of just the regular Slaver suit, non-armor. That definitely shares that connective tissue with the actual armor itself. As well as we actually get a look at some of the level design work. An early look at one of the vaults that will pop up in Miami. It's nice to see them continuing the vault culture, something that some of the other Fallout games haven't done so much. But also a variety of shots of the Palm Meadows Fire Department, one of the notable locations that will pop up in this world, and you can see how they've fleshed this out really well, with that interior design work that can be oh so tedious. But okay, that's one DLC-sized mod on its way, one great piece of cut content. How about a look at some of the releases from the Fallout 3 remake mod? These guys have been posting a ton of content as a part of their larger roadmap, and I actually think some of the more recent releases are some of the coolest ones yet. The Capital Wasteland Gauss Rifle is going to add in that very iconic Gauss Rifle from Fallout 3, fully recreated for Fallout 4. It's pretty simple, it doesn't have a ton in the way of customization options, but it looks great, and I feel like for some reason, this, and in particular the YCS variant of this, as this mod will include some of the unique variants and have them hand placed in Fallout 4, but this YCS variant just contains a ton of nostalgia for me. This of course being the unique version to pop up in New Vegas, and I vividly remember years ago playing New Vegas, actually watching guides on where to find this, and then using this fairly overpowered or at least strong weapon in New Vegas for the entirety of my playthrough. Overall, it's a super well done recreation restoration, an upgraded version, but also incredibly faithful to the original. But another mod that I think deserves a bit more attention and is really cool is dynamic ghoulification, which is going to really do two major things. On one hand, it's going to re-implement some of the radiation poisoning features into Fallout 4 from Fallout 3. So obviously in Fallout 4, when you get rads, you will lose part of your health bar, but even further, you'll now get the debuffs of radiation poisoning that will come in several stages. This just being a hit on your special stats just like it was in Fallout 3. But one of the interesting parts is if you get to the point of having over 600 rads on you, this being the most severe version of radiation poisoning before death, you'll actually start turning into a ghoul. I really love the way they implemented this. The way it works is once you have this amount of rads, and if you can't heal them, or if you just spend too much time with this, and it's a fairly sizable amount of time, about 24 hours, you'll start noticing changes to your character. The first stage being the skin peeling you are seeing. It's still relatively minor, but if you have more time pass by, you'll actually get to the point where this level of ghoulification is uncurable. You can remove the rads and stop the continuation, but your character will permanently have these marks on them. At that first stage, you can remove the rads and actually get away from it, and then you can progress further to stage 3, which probably looks the worst. Like, it looks good from a visual perspective, but it looks very unhealthy, like your character is genuinely sick, and at points even hard to look at a cleared section in the transition to a ghoul. And then finally you can reach stage 4, which is going to be full-on ghoulification. Your character loses radiation sickness because you are now a ghoul permanently in Fallout 4. And this has all kinds of benefits. Your heal rate will actually be increased depending on how much radiation you have. Feral ghouls will no longer attack you on sight, although they can be provoked. Again, you won't actually have radiation poisoning. And also you'll get some charisma debuffs because you now look like a ghoul, so your charisma and trading ability won't be as high in Fallout 4. Overall, I think this mod is awesome. I think it's really cool to be able to turn into a ghoul both from a gameplay but also a visual perspective. We have some other mods doing similar things, but typically on only one front. And it's definitely one to keep in the back of my load order. Having a playthrough as a ghoul is definitely a fun switch up. But then with that, we should also probably take a look at the Fallout 4 remake mod. And there's actually one specific mod, not even from that team directly, that I want to highlight. And that is the AntiMaterial Rifle Fallout 4 New Vegas real-time cover penetration framework patch. So I think this mod deserves way more attention. The real-time cover penetration framework will make it so you can shoot through walls in Fallout 4. And specifically, the mod I'm highlighting here is a patch for that will apply it to the AntiMaterial Rifle from Fallout New Vegas. You'll have a new mod now that you can apply that gives this wall penetration ability, and you can now shoot enemies through certain walls and deal damage to them. It won't deal full-on damage compared to just shooting them throughout the wall. Obviously, you're going through a wall, but I think this is just a really cool feature to have in Fallout 4 and surprisingly practical at times, and does feel very practical and relevant to have it on a massive rifle like this. It's relatively minor, but something I've been having a ton of fun with. I've been using a few of the other mods benefiting from real-time cover penetration, and I just wanted to bring more attention to this one. And Fallout 4 New Vegas itself has also been very busy. They just recently showed off some images of the 12.7mm SMG that looks absolutely phenomenal. You can see this thing is incredibly high quality, having the base weapon itself, but also even with some of the modifications and attachments that will be coming with this with the Fallout 4 modification system. It looks really good. I'm actually quite excited for this one. It'll probably be one of the best SMG options in Fallout 4 because it's kind of lacking in that category to begin with. But even further, they also have some images of that gun that are also a work in progress and also look phenomenal. With that said, that's a recap at some of the more recently released mods for Fallout 4 and some pretty fun ones. Kind of going over some of the upcoming stuff, but also some of the currently available stuff and even some cut content mods. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, but with that, I do hope to see you all next time. Later.